Hello. All right, today we have brisket. Ready to go for a brisket. I want to show you how to slice, prepare, and smoke a brisket today. I'm going to try and do it quickly. Lots of learning that I did on YouTube to understand how to do this, but it's brisket time here in Texas. Let's go. All right, what we've got here is about a 15-pound brisket. Got it from, let's see, I got this one on sale. This one was $2.99 a pound. So I'm just gonna get this out of the packaging. You wanna try and drain it off real good. So I'm gonna go over here real quick and get this out of the package. All right. Here we have it. Brisket's out of the package, and just talk to you real quick about what the brisket is. This one's got a great fat layer on the top. We're going to leave most of that on there because I want to make sure that as a carnivore I'm getting plenty of fats. This side will trim up a little bit. Some of this hard fat right here will take off because that's not really going to render down real well if we leave it on here, but I am going to make some beef tallow out of it. So I'll show you what I do with that here in a minute. I'm definitely going to save some of that. But I'm going to get to trimming. I'm going to show you a few techniques that I've learned over the YouTube. And sometimes you just get brisket the way that is, the way it's prepared here, the way it was cut from the butcher. But you know, it is what it is. We'll try and get. One of the things I look for is a brisket that has a good bend to it. And so this is nice and flimsy. I like that. It tells me there's not too much hard fat in there. There are 2 points or 2 parts of the brisket. There's the flat, which is the longer, leaner meat that we'll use. I'll show you that more here in a minute. And then there's the point, who's this fattier portion on top, and that's going to be your juiciest, most delicious part of the meat there. So I want to get to trimming, show you a little bit on this. Really, we're just going to take off the big chunks of fat where we can. And we're going to use that for some beef tallow, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'll get to carving this here and kind of talk a little bit as I go, but we'll speed up most of this process, show you what the end result is, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. All right, let's get to trimming this. And I'm probably not going to use a lot of talking in this, as I've already hacked off a good chunk. Most of this little flabby stuff like this is just going to burn up in the cook, so I'm going to take that off, trim that up a little bit. It's not really going to do anything on the long cook that we're going to do on this. We're going to go for about a 12 to 16 hour cook. I'm going to cook it low on about probably 225, because I'm not needing this brisket ready for dinner until dinner tomorrow, so I'm going to let it go overnight. And I hate to waste meat like this, but I'm just going to, again, if you leave flabby stuff like that on there, it's just not going to cook. So I'm going to take it off, trim it up a little bit, make it a little bit smoother and a little more aerodynamic as we go here. I'm going to shape the brisket. So I'm going to come down here to the side. And this little thin part right here, it's, again, just not going to do anything but burn up. So it may feel like you're wasting this meat, but you don't have to waste this. This is just a piece that we're going to be able to either grind into some hamburger meat or put the fat back in with that tallow that we're going to make here in a minute. So I'm just going to round this off. All right, rounding this off right here. Again, I'm not going to waste any of this. I'm going to put this in with this piece right here. I'm going to separate out some of the fat chunks there later. But this thinner part right here, we want to try and get it as even as we can. And you see how it's quite a bit thicker on this side than this side, and it balances out as it goes down. But I want to trim off everything here on the side there. The kind of the gray part that you see there, I'm just going to do a small shaving right off the edge of that. Not taking too much off. Let's get that part off that's been oxidized like so. Okay, looking good. I'm going to leave most of this fat on there. A lot of people will trim this out down there, tell you to get to about a 1/4 inch. Personally, as a carnivore, I need my fat and I like my fat, so I'm going to leave a lot of that on there. So I'm not hardly going to trim any of this off of here. I'm just going to go for the hard stuff. So I'm liking the way this is looking already. All right, here we go. I'm going to take some of this larger, harder fat off there. And when you feel this brisket, you'll feel exactly what I'm talking about right here. This part is really hard fat, and that's not going to do much on there during the smoke. So we're going to cut that off and put that in there for the beef tallow. And again, some of this oxidized meat here. Just going to trim a small bit off. Don't want to take too much off. This is my favorite part of the meat. Look at how fatty that is right in there. That's the part of the point meat that is just juicy and amazing when you get this cooked out right. So I don't want to lose too much of that at all. So just trim a little bit. Get the edges nice and round, and we're in pretty good shape. This one really doesn't have too much fat on it. Some will say you want to try and take this down and get all the silver skin off of this. There's not much on this one. The butcher did a pretty good job already getting a lot of this on there. So I'll just go under with my knife here, a little bit like that, and whoop, and get a little bit more of this off. But this will just burn off and drip anyway, so I'm going to save that and make the tallow out of those parts right there. But I'm telling you, I'm leaving most of this on here. Again, if you were really getting after it, you could trim this up a whole lot more, but I'm not going to do too much more. Just a little bit more off the top to make that a little more aerodynamic, and I'm loving the way that's looking already. Came out pretty good. So one thing that you'll notice here, look at the way the grain is going here. This is that flat part of the meat here, and what happens is this beautiful juicy part called the point, this big muscle right here on the top, the grain actually goes the opposite direction. And when we get this thing cooked off, we're going to want to, some people even separate the flat and the point, but I'll probably cut it right across here. But as we slice it, we want to slice it against the grain going this way. And then when we get to the point meat, we're going to slice it a different direction because the grain's actually coming back the other way on the underside of this. Just a little tip there. If you cut most of that off, it's going to be, if you cut it the wrong direction, it's going to be a little chewier and not as tender. But look at that nice fat on there. Again, most people telling you to prepare a brisket is going to tell you to take that down to a 1/4 inch. I'm leaving it on there. I want the fat. And my mouth is drooling already. I'm getting excited the way this is going to look. All right, time for the seasoning. Here we go. I'm going to wash my hands and get ready to season this sucker up. All right, for seasoning, what we're going to use today, of course, our Redmond's real salt. And if you were strictly carnivore, leaving out all the other seasonings and only doing salt, you get away with just the salt. I also like this Holy Cow seasoning right here. This is from Meat Church. If you watch his YouTube channel, he does a lot of great stuff, but really, really clean. And this one here just has a couple of ingredients in it. It is salt, spices, dried garlic, and spice extracts. There's no sugar, which is really hard to find in a brisket rub, not to have any sugar in it. So I really like this one, but this will help with the coloring real well. So I'm definitely going to add some of this. And yeah, we're going to coat this very liberally. You can see it's got some big chunks of cracked pepper on it, which I love on a brisket. You got to have that peppery taste. Sorry. So this is one of those carnivore meals that I will stray and have some pepper on it. Again, if pepper really had an impact, I've been doing carnivore for a year now, and if pepper really had an impact on me, a significant impact, then I would obviously cut that out. But I've never noticed an impact, and don't know. I know some people have reactions to it, but I don't. and my family doesn't seem to, so we're going to do some pepper on here. All right, so get this nice and coated liberally. Don't forget to do the sides. Important. It's a big chunk of meat, so some people think this is a lot of seasoning, but it can definitely handle it. Again, this is 15 pounds of meat right here, and a lot of this is going to just add some great flavor as we go. All right, nice even application. This is looking pretty good, like that. And now, because I'm a carnivore, I actually am going to go back in. I love my salt, and I can add this later on, but my whole family's getting to where they're liking the salt pretty good too. So we're just going to add in a little bit more of the Redmond's kosher salt as well. All right, I didn't put any kind of binder on there. Some people will put a binder on there, some mustard, or rub it down with some olive oil or something. I don't think it needs it. I just kind of pat it in. Don't rub it in. Just pat it in, and then I'm going to let it sit there for just a few minutes, and most of that's going to stick right to this meat, no problem. That salt's going to start drawing out the moisture, and it'll stick real well. And then we'll flip it over, do the other side. In the meantime, I'm going to go fire up the grill and get it up to temperature. We're going to cook this thing, like I said, I'm going to go 225. Sometimes I'll do it at 250, but I'm probably going to go 225 tonight because, again, I can have it go longer. I don't need this ready until after a soccer game tomorrow night, so I've got a good 18 hours before we're going to eat, so plenty of time. Once this gets to temperature, we're going to let it rest, and once it gets up to probably be in the neighborhood of 203, something like that. Once we get into that neighborhood, I'm going to shut it down, let it cool down in temperature, take it off the heat for a little bit, let it come down to temperature, and I'm just going to throw it back in there at 160 and just let it rest at 160 until we're ready to eat, and this thing's going to come out beautifully. So I'm excited about it, and we'll show you the steps along the way, but then we'll show you the finished product, show you how good it is. All right, be right back, and we'll fire up the grill. All right, I'm going to be smoking today on the Timberline XL. Very blessed to be able to get this beautiful machine right here. It is a pellet grill. We're going to be cooking with just kind of a gourmet blend. It's hickory, oak, and cherry wood pellets. And it's just a blend of those. So I'm going to set this, like I said, let's go 225 right there. Get this thing going. We're underway. Back in a few minutes. All right, grill is warming up. I say the grill, it's the smoker, but it also grills for me, so multi-purpose. All right, I'm going to get the salt going on this one so it can start getting through that fatty layer there. And then some more. Holy cow. Again, nice and liberal. Don't be scared. Man, this is going to be a good looking brisket right here. I just have a feeling. Sometimes you can get a brisket and you're just unsure. You're not exactly sure how these are going to turn out. I got a feeling on this one. This is going to be a good one. All right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw this on the smoker as soon as it gets up to temperature. On here, I'm just going to throw all my scraps. In this case, I'm going to throw all my scraps in here. I want the tallow out of it, and so these big chunks of fat here, this is going to render down while we smoke it. I'm going to throw this out in there on a tray right below it. It's going to help get some of the drippings from the brisket as we go. And this is going to render down into a nice tallow as well, and I'll show you that here in a minute. All right, we are just about to temperature. It's going to come up a few more degrees, and it'll loosen when I open the lid here. But I'm going to probe this brisket real quick. Real important. One of the beauties of these Traeger grills, oops, there we go. One of the beauties of these Traegers is you can stick one of these probes in here like this, and I like to try and get it right here into the center of the meat, somewhere right in that area. So I'm going to stick this guy right in here, right into the middle if I can. Hopefully that'll be pretty good. And then when I put this in, this is the fat side. This is that cap that had the fat on it, and I'm going to set the fat cap down. Kind of important note on that, because my heat source is going to be coming from the bottom, and that's the reason I like to do it with the fat down, to help protect that meat, and it'll get a better crust on top. So, all right, we're getting there, almost there. All right, let's get this brisket on the grill. All right, and as you can see there, I've actually got my brisket, or my fat trimmings that I saved, and I'm just lifting this brisket off carefully here. We're going to flip this over. Here we go. I've got my brisket trimmings already on there. There we go. All right, I'm going to shape this just a little bit, but nice looking aerodynamic brisket. We're going to go in the center rack right there. I don't want to let the temperature come down too much, so I'm going to close this up. My brisket trimmings underneath, it's going to catch a little bit of that fat coming off the brisket, and you're going to see the tallow here in just a little bit, and we will show you what it looks like after I go to sleep. So signing off for now. Good night. It's about midnight. I'll be up in the morning and I'll show you what we look like. Probably at that time, use some of that tallow that we're making right now before we wrap it. I'm going to wrap it at about 170 degrees. Show you what it looks like. That'll be sometime probably around 7 or 8 in the morning, is usually what it is. Again, I've got this on 225, so maybe it'll be a little later in the morning, but we'll keep monitoring and let you know. Well, good morning. Sun's starting to get up, and I'm starting to get up. Beautiful morning, beautiful moon, and beautiful brisket. Here we go. All right, so one of the beautiful things about a pellet grill, this Traeger that I've got, is I went to bed, had a wonderful sleep last night. Temperature on the Traeger grill generally stays within a couple of degrees of where it's supposed to be. And yeah, I got up this morning, checked my phone, spot on, exactly where I thought it would be. It's 225 degrees right about, and right now I'm looking at it, spot on 225. It fluctuates honestly only a couple of degrees. It's absolutely amazing how consistent it keeps it. So I don't have to get up every hour and stoke the fire and do that. But here's what we're going to look at and see what we come into this morning. I'm betting, like I said, we've got another hour or so before we need to wrap this. The meat probe was saying, let's see, it's at 152 degrees right now, so it's still got a little ways. Probably 170 is when we're going to wrap it. So a couple hours and we should be there. And let me show you what it looks like here. Oh yeah, it's looking good. So got my, a little warm, but not too bad. Got my basting brush. Time to put a little bit of this tallow there. So you can see that there. You can see the tallow that we've made in there. That fat that we had, it's just rendering down. Put a little bit of this extra tallow that we've got. Baste the top of this where it may be looking a little dry. Get some moisture on it. Alright, so like I said, we are looking good. I think this backside is looking a little bit, maybe a little dry because that heat is coming up from that backside like that, but we're alright. That's good. Yeah, so we've got a couple more hours to go before we wrap it probably. Check back in with you here in just a minute. We'll show you how to wrap it. That amazing smoke come off there. I'll close that. I'm letting too much of the heat go out of there, but how's that look? Yum yum, get you some. All right, it's a couple hours later and our brisket is at 170, and so it's time to wrap. So I've got myself some butcher paper lined out. I'll show you that in a second. But I wanted to show you this. I see a lot of barbecue videos on YouTube, and I never quite understood what it was, but you can order these like wool gloves that are online, and then you also get these rubber gloves that you can put over top of it. Makes it a great insulated barrier, and I can use my hands to pick up the hot meat and transfer it around and manipulate what I need to on the grill. Fantastic. I use these. They're kind of disposable. I reuse the wool gloves a few times and then can toss them out, but they're not too expensive on Amazon. Pick those up. Great barbecue tool. Keep your hands insulated. So show you that. But here's what the brisket looks like, and we are ready to move it to the wrap station. So here we go. All right, there it is. It's a beauty. It's looking good. And I hate to pull the probe out, so I'm actually just going to disconnect it from the trigger for a moment so I can move the whole brisket over to my wrap station here. So lift this sucker up. It's looking beautiful. And so we've got that fat side on the bottom there that help protect that meat. And so I'm going to pull this whole thing over. Had to reposition a couple of things, so make sure I had some good camera angles for you. It's hard when you're the solo cameraman out here. I need my daughter. All right, I've got my brisket out. I'm going to take this tallow that we did here. I'm just going to pour a little bit over. Get it nice and keep it nice and moist in here. And a little bit on this butcher paper. I've got 2 rolls of butcher paper lined out. I'm going to show you how I wrap it. All right, we are ready to wrap. Let's go the right way. Tell you, put me on camera and it's like I've done this for the first time. That looks better. Sorry about the noise. This is just butcher paper that I got off of wax butcher paper off of Amazon. Key is wrapping it good and tight. As I wrap that, I'm pulling it good and snug. I want to get it nice and tight in there. And this last bit I'm just going to fold up like this, and we're going to tuck it under. Easier said than done, clearly. Make sure that's good and tight. That's a pretty good little baby bundle right there. And the probe I'm going to stick right back in here before we stick it in. So I'm going to put it up a little high so don't get the meat juice. I'm going to try and get it back into the center. This brisket right now is at about 170. Put this back in here. And we're going to go till about 200-ish, maybe 205, somewhere in that range. 203 is probably right about it. I'm not exactly sure at what point I lost tracking, but I lost tracking at some point. So I just wanted to say the brisket is at 175-ish right now. We're going to got it wrapped now, got it back in the Traeger, and we're going to let it go probably up until about a little over 200, maybe 200, 202, somewhere in that range. And once we start, we're not going to temperature, we're going to a probe tenderness is what we're looking for. So I'll start probing the meat a little bit and feeling it, try and show you that. It should feel like kind of a soft butter. And when we get to that butter phase, oh, it's ready. And I can shut it down, let it start cooling off, and then we'll just hold it until it's time to eat. So I'll show you what that looks like when we're there. A couple more hours, we're gonna get there probably pretty quick. All right, stay tuned, I'll show you that in a minute. All right. I got the alert that we are at temperature, and I wanna come out and check it for probe tenderness. So I had the alert set for 200. I think we were at 201 right now. So probably needs to go up a few more degrees, but I want to kind of show a little bit of how you start gauging when it's done and ready to come off. All right, let's take a look in here. And we've got the instant read, and really this is the thinner part here is the flat. That's where I want to make sure it's good and probe tender. This part's so moist with the fat in there, it's going to be great. I ain't worried about that part at all, but I'll check that here in a second. So you do have to go through a couple layers, and I would say be careful not to poke it through both layers. So I'm going to try to do this with one hand. So I hit the meat there, but it's definitely not as tender as I want to see right there for sure. So just don't want to poke it all the way through. So I'm trying to be a little bit careful. Here we go. Oh yeah, that one actually went all the way through. I must have had another layer of paper. There we go. Okay, that's better. That's more what I wanted to feel like. Yeah, not too bad at all. Still not quite. Got several layers of paper to get through. Oh yeah, that's feeling pretty good. Honestly, we're not too far away. I'm gonna let it go a couple more minutes. Here's the point. I'm gonna check that one. Just no resistance whatsoever. I don't feel any resistance on that whatsoever. This is exactly where I want to go. And this one, temperature-wise, is showing definitely done. Let me check the temperature on this one. I didn't do that on my instant read. Yeah, that's showing well above where actually I wanted it to. So it's reading at a different temperature than what my probe is. There we go. 201.6. That's about right where my probe was. There. Same thing, 201. So we're good there. And what I want to do is set it off, let it rest outside of the heat, come down in temperature to about, let's see, we're going to go down to about 180 degrees probably, maybe 170, somewhere in that range. And then we're going to throw it back in here and just let it sit. I'm going to turn down the smoker down to 160 degrees and let it just chill until we're ready to eat. It should be money when we're ready to eat. So we'll unwrap that package and see what we got a little bit later. Great night for soccer. Brisket is on. He's ready. Just waiting for us to get home. All right, back from soccer. It is time to unwrap the swaddling of my baby. I want to try and save the juices that are in here. So there it is. I want to put this down at the sink. You can see that, Kendall? Oh, it smells so good. I'm going to put this in the sink so we can save a lot of that. I want that to go away. We will use that. Oh, here. I'm going to just lift it up on the cutting board. Oh my goodness, it is beautiful. Beautiful. Nice little jiggle to it. We are good. All right. Now I'm ready to eat. So we're going to cut into this. I'm going to show you the result. But again, we could take off the flat if we wanted to. Point is down below, but I'm going to cut it right about here where that point begins. This is the shot we want. Right in there. And then I'll cut one slice out just to demo the slice as well. All right, Kendall, how'd we do?
Looks pretty good.
Wow, getting close on that. That's pretty good. Nice fold. Perfect pull. Oh, it's gonna be a good one. I knew this was gonna be a good one, I could tell. Here is the I forgot, we gotta try it. Hello, wanna try a bite?
Sure.
Give you a little piece right there. That's what I've been waiting on all day. It's delicious.
Very good.
Oh my word. I knew this was gonna be a good one. I knew it was good. I love my brisket. Come in close to this one's for Uncle Rhett. Rhett, eat your heart out, man. You cannot beat this brisket. I'm telling you, this is the best one I've ever done. Look at that. Look at how tender. Look at how moist. Oh, it's amazing. Cannot wait to eat this. If you like this, make sure you subscribe to our videos. We've got great new content coming soon. Rhett, I want to see if you can beat this brisket. I don't know if you can.